Good evening to you, dear viewers, and welcome to this live program of today's special episode covering the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the state of Kuwait. His Excellency's official state visit, which is his sixth to the state since he assumed the reins of power back in 2014, coming to strengthen the brotherly ties and add a new meaning of the established relations between the two countries that have shined over the years. Such a visit will also contribute to strengthening and consolidating the distinguished relations between the Kuwaiti and the Egyptian leaders and push bilateral cooperation towards broader horizons, aiming to achieve the common future goals and aspirations between the two nations. The visit also witnessed official discussions between the leaderships of the two countries on ways to enhance joint cooperation for the benefit and prosperity of both nations and peoples, in addition to exchanging opinions on the most prominent issues and developments on the regional and international arenas and topics of common interests. Additionally, His Excellency President al-Sisi's visit embodies the spirit of admiration, cohesion, and interdependence that demonstrates the leadership of both countries and the two brotherly peoples together. Let's take a look at this following report, and we'll get back with our guest here in the studio.
His Excellency Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived in Kuwait yesterday on a state visit, where upon his arrival he was received by His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah, may Allah protect him, bless him, with His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Khalid al-Hamid al-Sabah, may Allah protect him, at the Emiri Airport. Acting Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad Yusuf Saud al-Sabah, Minister of the Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah al-Mbarak al-Sabah, Deputy Premier and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sharija Abdullah al-Mawshirji, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Abdullah Yahya were also among the attendees. Furthermore, Minister of Defense and Acting Minister of Interior Sheikh Abdullah Ali Abdullah Salim al-Sabah is heading the mission of honor accompanying the distinguished guest. Receiving him, the national anthems of both countries were also played, as His Highness the Emir greeted the Egyptian delegation before artillery fired a 21-gun salute for President al-Sisi. As of today, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, and President of the Egypt Abdel Fattah al-Sisi chaired the official rounds of talks between the two countries. This came in the presence of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Khalid al-Hamid al-Sabah, Acting Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad Yusuf Saud al-Sabah, and senior state officials from both countries. In a statement, Minister of the Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah al-Mbarak al-Sabah reiterated that the talks focused on strong ties linking the two countries and ways to develop them in various fields. Issues of mutual interest, Arab cooperation and unity, in addition to the latest regional and international developments, were also discussed by the two sides, as well as the dire situation in the Gaza Strip and efforts to bring upon a ceasefire and enabling the entry of humanitarian aid were also focused upon, while stressing that supporting the Palestinian dream of establishing an independent state, as well as efforts of reconstruction Gaza, was also on the table of discussions. The meeting was highlighted by a positive atmosphere which reflected the strong relations between the two countries. Additionally, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah held at Bayan Palace a luncheon in the honor of the visiting Egyptian President and the accompanying delegation. His Excellency President al-Sisi had also received this morning His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Khalid al-Hamid al-Sabah, may Allah protect him, at His Excellency's residence in Bayan Palace. The meeting was attended by the head of the accompanying honorary mission, including Minister of Defense and Acting Minister of Interior Sheikh Abdullah Ali Abdullah Salim al-Sabah. The Egyptian President had previously also met with the Acting Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad Yusuf Saud al-Sabah, where the meeting was attended by the head of the accompanying honorary mission as well. To conclude this visit, His Excellency President al-Sisi, along with his accompanying delegation, departed the country this afternoon after a state visit. His Excellency was seen off at the airport by His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, and His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Khalid al-Hamid al-Sabah, may Allah protect him. The Acting Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad Yusuf Saud al-Sabah, Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah al-Mbarak al-Sabah, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sharija Abdullah al-Mawshirji, the head of the honorary mission of Minister of Defense and Acting Minister of Interior Sheikh Abdullah Ali Abdullah Salim al-Sabah, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Abdullah Ali Yahya, along with senior state officials, were also attended the bid farewell.
His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt graces the state of Kuwait with a dignified visit, symbolizing the deep-rooted alliance between the two nations. United by shared values, Kuwait and Egypt strengthen their commitment to collaboration and joint Arab action, while shedding light on the regional and international developments.
To enrich us more on the importance of such a visit, of which His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visit to the state of Kuwait, we are accompanied here in the studio with our distinguished guest, writer and researcher in international relations, Mr. Hussein Sana. Mr. Hussein, first of all, we'd like to welcome you here on KTV2 and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Hussein, we're going to go ahead and start with the relations. Can we start with the history of the relations between Kuwait and Egypt?
We can see that it's more of a continuity, and we share the same identity when it comes to language, culture, religion. Egypt has always been the core of the Arab world when it came to the wave of Arab nationalism. And the relations with Kuwait, particularly with this entity, with this little country, existed even in the early 20th century when we first had education, formal education. We had teachers from Egypt in the 20s and 30s. Fun fact, even some of the chants in Mubarakiya school, which is the first formal school in Kuwait, was taken from Nasheed al-Khidawi, was taken from Egypt. It was a chant for the Egyptian king back then. And Kuwaiti students, pupils in the school used to chant it and make it about the emir. And this relation continued with Egypt as a country, regardless of the changes that happened in Egypt. When Egypt switched from a monarchy, a kingdom, to a republic, Kuwait had even stronger ties with Jamal Abdel Nasser and the Egyptian state. Our pioneer elites in Kuwait, when it comes to education, the people who ran the country, they were mostly educated in Egypt. After the first educational students who studied abroad, the first one I think was in Baghdad in 1926. The second one was in Egypt, in Cairo.
Correct.
We had what used to be called Beit al-Kuwait, I think, in Cairo for Kuwaiti students. So the relation is more of a continuity. And this generation produced leaders in Kuwait who are heavily influenced by Egypt. They admire Egypt. They have strong connections to Egypt. When the United Arab Republic was formed between Egypt and Syria, and later with a second attempt to join with Iraq, 12 Kuwaiti politicians in the parliament requested that Kuwait join this new United Arab state. And you don't see that in other Arab countries where politicians and elites in the country have this tendency to like focus on unities and similarities with the Egyptian state. We have a very, and by the way, this also continued during Nasser era. We had a Kuwaiti brigade, Liwa al-Yarmouk, participating with the Egyptian army as a tribute, as a contribution to the Egyptian war effort in 67 and then later in 73. So this has been a norm. This has been more of a continuity. We have a little disconnection when Egypt normalized relations in Camp David. Most Arab countries boycotted Egypt, and then we resumed relations with Egypt again. You have a very strong Egyptian stand during Kuwait's invasion and occupation. The classes of Arab labor, Arab migrants, and people who settled in Kuwait from Arab backgrounds that were from countries that sided with Iraq during the occupation, they were all replaced by Egyptian labor after the liberation. So basically teachers who worked in school, doctors, healthcare professionals. So we have this more of a continuity and organic relations between Kuwait and Egypt. And this is how I see the current visit of the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. It's more of a continuity and natural organic relations between Kuwait and Egypt.
So from your point of view, have we seen a qualitative shift? But from my understanding that there was a small shift, but then there was a continuation with a strategic alignment. Is that correct?
Yes, I would argue for that, yes.
Okay. Mr. Hussein, in your view, how significant was this visit diplomatically, considering the current instability in the region, especially the ongoing one in Gaza?
Yes, we are yet to find what has been discussed exactly in details. We know that there are issues in the region that needs tackling, so probably we can maybe guess or predict, we can hypothesize that this visit has been more about what's happening in the region than what the two countries can work on together for their own local and interior interest. So we know that Sudan has been part of the discussions, Syria has been part of the discussions, Egypt and the Egyptian institutions, including the army, has strong ties with Sudan. The Egyptian state has very long borderline with Sudan, so the Sudanese conflict has been very important for Egypt. Same goes with Syria. Some of the fractions that participated in the Syrian revolution and the Syrian civil war are considered terrorist groups in Egypt. Kuwait has also been cautious when it comes to violence in the region because we all know we're in one region and it can backfire on us. So now that there has been a regime change and hopefully an end to the Syrian civil war, reconstruction and peace building needs to be tackled. And the people who can work on that are either the countries that kept an eye on the war and participated in the war, or other countries in the region that are always part of this area.
Mr. Hussein, we're going to take a quick look at this report and we have a call afterwards, and then we're going to get back with more questions. We're going to dig deeper into the economical scale, let's say. Let us channel this report, which details both countries' establishment of strong historic relations dating back to the middle of the 19th century, when the two countries established trade ties. Both countries are cooperating in political, economic, military, cultural, media, educational, judicial, technical, tourism, health and agriculture domains, and further solidified by solid supports during several crises that faced the two nations. Stay more for this report.
The Egyptian-Kuwaiti relations span over decades of fruitful joint cooperation and coordination on regional and international issues, as well as full solidarity across various domains. These historical relations have set an exemplary model for inter-Arab relations, as Egypt was among the first countries to recognize Kuwait's independence in 1961, in addition to its supportive stance towards Kuwait during the Iraqi invasion in 1990. Kuwait was also one of the first countries to support Egypt during difficult times, particularly during the Suez Crisis in 1956, the 1967 and October 1973 wars, and continue its support for Egypt until today. Kuwaiti-Egyptian relations has witnessed a new and historic phase with the state visit of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al al-Ahmad al-Jabr al-Sabah, may Allah protect and bless him, to Egypt in April 2024 at the kind invitation of the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, marking His Highness the Emir's first official visit to Egypt after assuming power. During the visit, the Egyptian president awarded His Highness the Emir the Order of the Nile, the most prestigious Egyptian medal given to presidents, kings, and emirs in recognition of their roles. Last year, the two brotherly countries signed 10 memoranda of understanding outlining future vision for joint cooperation and further boosting their mutual ties in all fields.
To elaborate further on the high delegation's visit, joining us all the way from Cairo through Skype is Mr. Nabil Nigmuldin, International Relations Analyst. Mr. Nabil, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Nabil, how do you assess the strategic significance of His Excellency's President El-Sisi's visit to Kuwait in context of Egypt-Gulf relations, especially amid the ongoing regional tensions?
I would like to start by saying Kuwait, the state of Kuwait, is a quite significant player in the Arab politics and in the GCC organization. So Egypt, on the other hand, is a major player in the issues of the Middle East. There is a very much warm and special relation between Amir Kuwait and President of Egypt. And the warm welcome to President Sisi in Kuwait has showed how deep and how strong is the official and public relation between two countries, Kuwait and Egypt.
And Mr. Nabil, could this visit signal a shift or a deepening in Egypt's foreign policy priorities towards the Gulf states, particularly in terms of economic cooperation or security coordination?
I do have a feeling that this historical visit has been very carefully engineered, and there was some sort of good homework before the arrival of President Sisi to Kuwait. I can see that in every aspect of the visit, and the common understanding and the agreement between the leader Sheikh Mish'al and President Sisi over the bilateral files and over the Middle East and regional issues shows that Kuwait and Egypt are gonna make a huge difference both regionally and on the level of the bilateral relations.
That was Mr. Nabil Najmuddin, International Relations Analyst. We appreciate your time and input. Thank you for being with us tonight.
His Excellency, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt, graces the state of Kuwait with a dignified visit, symbolizing the deep-rooted alliance between the two nations. United by shared values, Kuwait and Egypt strengthen their commitment to collaboration and joint Arab action, while shedding light on the regional and international developments.
And we're back here in the studio with our guest, Mr. Hussein Sana. Mr. Hussein, before we go into the economical part, we want to see what role do shared pan-Arab values and cultural ties play in sustaining the Egypt-Kuwait relations beyond the formal agreements, in your opinion?
I think that the values that the two countries share and two societies share makes this relation very sustainable, very easy to keep, very easy to renew, and can be easily expanded to shared interest. We see an expansion in tourism, in commerce, in trade, industries. So definitely having shared values makes it easier because if we're discussing, say for example, when it comes to Arabic, the Arab language, Kuwait is in constant need for labor, for a working class that are able to run and expand our economy as part of the Kuwaiti population. And we see that we are being supported by mainly Egyptian labor when it comes to sectors like health or education and school. We were all taught by teachers that are from Egyptian background. We've all been taken care of in hospitals by doctors and caregivers from Egyptian backgrounds.
Mr. Hussein, can this visit be seen as a reaffirmation of Kuwait's continued support for Egypt's political and economic stability?
Yes, definitely.
Especially after Egypt's recent election and ongoing regional diplomacy efforts?
Yes, definitely. If we go back for the past decade, we kept a distance from internal Egyptian issues and challenges. We did not take sides when it came to post-Arab Spring Egypt. We kept a healthy distance and kept support for the country. And no matter who the Egyptian people chose, we continued our relation with the country. Yes,
continued support. I mean, this has always been our policy as Kuwait, thanks to our wiser leadership, decision making, which has kept our relations worldwide on a very healthy scale.
By the way, if I may add a comment when it comes to that, I feel the geography of Kuwait enforces that. Us being,
in what sense?
Us being a small country in between three bigger countries makes us always eager to keep balance and keep good relations in between bigger powers and bigger countries.
That's true. We are a small country on the map, but we are a country with huge hearts, and we are loved worldwide by so many other countries, thanks to our participation in whether it's giving, whether it's an economy, whether it's in strategic planning, or helping out others whenever they are in need, no matter what's going on. Mr. Hussein, what long-term strategic projects or initiatives might emerge from this visit, such as, will we see joint funds?
Definitely, yes. The joint funds are already happening. Kuwait is participating in investments around the new Egyptian capital, the administrative capital, around the area around the Egyptian National Museum that has been opened recently. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more Kuwaiti investments in Alexandria and the coastal area in northern Egypt, because these are natural destinations for Kuwaiti tourists anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
What about the industrial zone?
Same goes for industries. We are importers of Egyptian manufacturers, electronics in Kuwait. We are seeing more electronics being produced and manufactured in Egypt. And probably the growth of the Egyptian economy today, we have also, like recently in the past years, Egypt is joining BRICS. So maybe we would see more economic diversification in Egypt, and that would be reflecting on ties with Kuwait and trade with Kuwait.
Is it true that investments are not just on the governmental side, they are also on the private side? As we've witnessed recently, there are some automotive companies operating and producing cars in Egypt.
Yes, yes. Even when it comes to other sectors, constructions. Again, if we go back again to geography, us being a small country does not allow us to produce heavy industries, and it's the case with most small countries. So we do need bigger countries where heavy industries
come and need
can
and
be.
handy and
Yes.
help us out with these ideas. Like you've mentioned, we do have the ideas, we do have the brains and plans for it, but we just need the space, and everyone is gratefully and thankfully helping out by offering certain space, which is helping the economy on both sides and both countries. Mr. Hussein, we're going to take a quick look at this following report and get back with more questions. Kuwait and Egypt have held various meetings and discussions at the ministerial level recently, which have resulted in the signing of various agreements between the two countries. Here's more details regarding some of those meetings. And we're back, our viewers, with this live coverage of today's special episode covering the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the state of Kuwait on an official state visit. Kuwait's ambassador to the Arab Republic of Egypt, His Excellency Ghanem Saigar Shaheen Al-Ghanem, describes Kuwaiti-Egyptian relations as historical and deeply rooted, embodying the values of solidarity and communication between the two nations, which have their roots deeply embedded in history. Also emphasizing the importance of the state of Kuwait, a state visit of His Excellency President al-Sisi to the state of Kuwait, where during this visit he discussed ways to enhance bilateral relations, regional issues, developments, and support for joint Arab action with His Highness the Emir Sheikh Mish'al al-Ahmed al-Jabr al-Sabah. May Allah protect and bless him. Here's what he had to say.
وقفة مصر في تأييدها لاستقلال الكويت وسيادتها على أرضها واكتسابها عضوية جامعة الدول العربية، كذلك وقوف الكويت في حرب 67 و73 وتسخير إمكاناتها لشقيقتها مصر، كذلك في وقفة الشقيقة مصر أيام الغزو العراقي لدولة الكويت. الاستثمارات الكويتية كانت وجهة رئيسية في مصر، تعتبر ثالث دولة من حيث حجم الاستثمار في مصر. كذلك القطاع الخاص الكويتي، هناك أكثر من 1000 شركة كويتية تعمل في السوق المصري، وهذا الرقم في ازدياد بشكل مضطرد نظرا للإصلاحات والتشريعات الحديثة اللي قامت بتحديثها جمهورية مصر العربية.
His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt graces the state of Kuwait with a dignified visit, symbolizing the deep-rooted alliance between the two nations. United by shared values, Kuwait and Egypt strengthen their commitment to collaboration and joint Arab action, while shedding light on the regional and international developments.
Egypt and Kuwait have consistently demonstrated a unified stance on the Palestinian cause, rooted in shared Arab identity and commitment to justice. Both countries advocate for a comprehensive and just resolution to the war based on international law and the Arab peace initiatives. Mr. Hussein, we are going to shift on the current issue that is going on. To what extent did the humanitarian crisis in Gaza shape the agenda of this visit, and what unified position do Egypt and Kuwait hold on this issue specifically?
Yes. The war has been unfortunate. Nobody wants to see it ongoing. And it expanded to other countries in the region, and it constituted a security threat to Egypt. We've seen some Israeli ministers publicly calling for displacement of Palestinians in Gaza into Egypt. And that's why we've seen the Egyptian state move in Sinai and try to secure the borders. Nobody wants to see such wars ongoing, and both countries definitely want to see an end to this war and a stable region.
Hussein, what does Kuwait's support for Egypt's mediation role in Gaza tells us about the regional trust and the Egyptian diplomacy?
Yes. So Egypt has been a mediator. We've seen rounds of talks and negotiations to reach a solution and an end to this war. And we've also seen how on the Israeli end there has been false justification of using and employing the acts of 7th of October to justify ethnic cleansing or to continue an unnecessary war that aims to displace Palestinians. We've seen international even valid thoughts that this constitutes a case of genocide. And definitely both countries don't want that. We're calling for international law, we're calling for an end to this war and to stabilize the region more, because we cannot prosper in a region where violence and instability keeps on going.
Hopefully an end to this genocide will come to a stop very soon. But before we take a look at this following report, has there been any indication of joint Egyptian-Kuwaiti humanitarian or reconstruction efforts for post-conflict in Gaza?
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, Kuwait has been running rounds of jets that carries support to the Egyptian airport Al Arish, which is the closest airport to Gaza. And this has been ongoing since the beginning of the war. Kuwait has not been mediating. That was the role of Egypt, that was the role of Qatar and other countries. But Kuwait publicly called on the highest levels, from the emir to the foreign minister. The state has been calling for an end to the war, for allowing aid to enter Gaza, and to pursue a better outcome.
Mr. Hussein, we're going to go to the following report and get back with more questions. Now, both nations have also been always advocate for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the unhindering delivery of humanitarian aid, and the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state that's based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Here's more in the following report.
In response to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, Egypt and Kuwait have both collaborated to provide substantial aid to the affected population. Notably, in November of 2023, the Kuwaiti Relief Society and Egypt Dar al-Orman Association signed an agreement to deliver $500,000 worth of essential supplies, including food, medical aid, and winter blankets to Gaza via the Rafah border. Furthermore, Kuwait has been instrumental in organizing airlifts that have transported hundreds of tons of relief materials to Al Arish airport in Egypt, facilitating their subsequent delivery to Gaza through the coordination of the Egyptian and Palestinian Red Crescent societies. Both countries have also engaged in international diplomatic efforts to promote the two-state solution. Egypt hosted the fourth meeting of the International Coalition for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution in February of 2025, reaffirming its commitment to establishing an independent Palestinian state encompassing the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Similarly, Kuwait has also expressed unwavering support for initiatives aimed at recognizing the State of Palestine within the framework of international coalitions dedicated to implementing the two-state solution. These concerted efforts underscore the deep-rooted alliance between Egypt and Kuwait in advocating for Palestinian rights and striving towards a peaceful resolution to the conflict.
This shared vision between the two nations was reaffirmed during numerous meetings, phone conversations, and calls for immediate end to the war and the necessity of a foundation for lasting peace. As such, we're also joined with a recorded phone call with political analyst Mr. Khalid Al-Jamfawi, who had to share his insights on the efforts made by the two countries.
President Sisi's visit to Kuwait underlined the strategic relations between Kuwait and Egypt. Relations between the two important Arab and Muslim countries can be traced to the middle of the 19th century. Since then, the relations have been growing at all levels. We as Kuwaitis have very strong brotherly ties with our brothers in Egypt. In addition to this, President Sisi's visit to Kuwait reflects the effective dynamics of the Egyptian-Kuwaiti relations. His Excellency, the President, appreciates Kuwait's historical steadfast support of the Palestinian people. Currently, within the context of the Israeli aggression in Gaza, both Kuwait and Egypt are working to ease the suffering of the Palestinian people, having leading roles in the delivery of the much-needed humanitarian aid. In addition, both Kuwait and Egypt have repeatedly stressed the importance of the implementation of the ceasefire agreement.
Joining us again, researcher in international relations, Mr. Hussein Sana. Mr. Hussein Sana, as promised, we are shifting to the economical side of questions right now. Considering the Gulf's push towards economic diversifications, as we all know, Kuwait's vision for the year of 2035, how might Egypt become a strategic partner, especially in human capital?
Yes. As you said, when it comes to human capital, Kuwaiti market can rely and have confidence in Egyptian labor that managed to run,
that shares the same values and
yes,
culture, let's say.
Yes, and there are areas where we struggle to cover, and but like when it comes to mines, for example, or steel or heavy industries, and that's where Egypt comes in support. If we're talking about the sectors of entertainment and services in Kuwait, they both rely on Egyptian natural resources and labor to being run. I'm talking specifically about restaurants, small businesses, even sport gyms, the steel that we use for exercises. It's mostly imported from countries where this steel is found and manufactured and exported, such as Egypt.
Let's shift towards the term cooperation. Is there any, we already covered the political cooperation between Kuwait and Egypt and the economic cooperation between Kuwait and Egypt. Is there any military cooperation between Kuwait and Egypt?
Yes, I would talk about a wider cooperation when it comes to any security joint interest. Kuwaiti staff are usually being trained in Egypt. The Kuwaiti army relies on Egyptian training. There are constant committees back and forth from Egypt. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't also be surprised, maybe you can correct me, if there's a Kuwaiti military office in Egypt.
There is a military attaché, correct.
Military attaché, yes.
Let's talk about the media in Egypt, about the start of media or the evolvement of media, and how did it affect the region, not just Kuwait or Egypt?
Yes, Kuwait is a usual receiver of Egyptian cinema since the 50s, since the early Egyptian cinema production. And this has also been ongoing. Most of Kuwaiti artists, actors, directors, producers also get their training in Egypt. Especially the older generation
That's
who
true.
prefer
Very
Arabic-speaking countries.
Yes.
Egypt has a full production city, cinema city, where movies can be produced and supervised. So yes, when it comes to cinema and the wider media sector, journalism, media production, arts in general, Egypt and Kuwait has always been working closely.
What about the educational system? We all know that there is a huge cooperation in that,
Yes.
within that field.
Yes, especially when it comes to particular
Fields.
fields. Kuwait used to have students studying Arabic, for example, in Syria. Now most the students of Arabic go to Egypt for that, if they're studying Arabic abroad. Arabic literature or linguistics. Same goes for law, same goes for medicine. There are particular fields where you see Egypt as a usual destination for Kuwaiti students. Every year, Egypt is on the list of Ministry of Higher Education as a country where Kuwaiti students go to study.
What about tourism?
Yes, tourism. Kuwaiti tourists are usual in Egyptian destinations.
Very fond of the Egyptian destination.
Alexandria, Sinai, Cairo, the history of Cairo, history districts of Cairo. So yes, Egypt is also a usual destination for Kuwaiti tourists, and it's very convenient. It's close by. It's affordable for Kuwaitis, taking into account the differences
Family
between
friendly
the two
as
currencies.
well.
Family and Thai, and that wouldn't be a surprise because we have around 1 million Egyptian residents in Kuwait.
Correct.
So you would see family ties, you would see friendships, partnerships in business. It's an organic relation.
Mr. Sana, we're going to take a quick look at the following report and get back with a couple more questions if we still have time before we conclude this episode.
Thank you.
The Kuwaiti-Egyptian relations have always remained strong and established, strengthened by high-level coordination between the wise leaderships of the two countries and their constant keenness to support and enhance them in various fields, the foremost of which is the economic file, which transformed the historical relations from bilateral cooperation relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership and integration in various fields. The two countries share relations and bonds that transcend the boundaries of the concepts of diplomacy and geography, economy, and are rooted in the depths of history. Here's more in the following report.
His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt graces the state of Kuwait with a dignified visit, symbolizing the deep-rooted alliance between the two nations. United by shared values, Kuwait and Egypt strengthen their commitment to collaboration and joint Arab action, while shedding light on the regional and international developments.
In a world marked by rapid regional and global changes, the relationship between Kuwait and Egypt stands as a model of Arab cooperation, a historic bond that extends beyond politics to encompass a strong and growing economic partnership built on mutual trust and shared strategic vision. The economic ties between the state of Kuwait and the Arab Republic of Egypt represent a solid pillar of their bilateral cooperation, continuously evolving across various sectors. According to the official data, the volume of trade exchange between the two countries has reached approximately $3 billion annually, reflecting the strength of their economic links and the depth of their shared interests. Kuwaiti investments in Egypt have surpassed $15 billion, positioning Kuwait among Egypt's top Arab investors. These investments span strategic sectors such as real estate, energy, infrastructure, tourism, and financial services, contributing directly to job creation and economic stability within Egypt. A vital contributor to the development is the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development. Since its establishment, KFAD has financed over 50 major development projects in Egypt, with a total value exceeding 1.2 billion US dollars. These include projects in transportation, electricity, water supply, and education, reinforcing Kuwait's long-standing commitment to Egypt's sustainable development. KFAD's role reflects Kuwait's broader approach to regional partnerships, supporting long-term growth through financing infrastructure, building capacity, and empowering communities. The Kuwait-Egypt Economic Partnership is more than just trade and investment. It's a vision for shared progress. With strong bilateral trade, expansive investments, and impactful support through KFAD, the two countries continue to write a successful story of economic cooperation, setting an inspiring example for the Arab world. These economic relations are not new. They are rooted in a long history of coordination and mutual support, thriving in both stable times and challenging moments. Between Kuwait and Egypt lies not just a shared past, but a future built on trust and economic integration, and a relationship that continues to prove itself on the ground through numbers, projects, and ever-growing partnerships.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Mr. Hussein Sama. Mr. Hussein, can you tell us more about the joint cooperation between Kuwait and Egypt helping out in the current crisis over in Sudan?
Yes. Foreign aid has been part of Kuwaiti foreign diplomacy and a way to strengthen our relations with the world. I can even argue that it's a form of Kuwaiti soft power. Just like Gaza and the Kuwaiti shipment of aid to Gaza, Sudan has been on the list of Kuwait aid recipients. And we've seen the Kuwaiti Red Crescent sending aid to Sudan constantly. Now that for the past 2 years, since conflict and violence outbursts in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, Port Sudan has been the de facto capital where most Sudanese state institutions move to. And as far as I know, Kuwait Red Crescent Association has been sending aid to Sudan through Port Sudan. Now we're talking about a country that borders Egypt, and the Sudanese army and the Sudanese institutions of the state has very long and lasting relations with Egypt. They've been one country at some point. Egypt had a big interest in ending the conflict in Sudan. We've seen in certain moments even that some soldiers, for example, have been held captive within the Sudanese conflict. So Egypt has strong interest in ending this conflict. Now that the ending is unfolding in front of us, we've seen an end to the most of the battles that are happening in Khartoum. We've seen the rapid forces withdrawing to other cities in Sudan and other regions, mainly western and southern Sudan. There's a lot that can be done in Khartoum. And this is where Egypt and Kuwait can work closely in coordinating the peace building, the reconstruction of Sudan post-conflict.
Mr. Hussein, do we see any future work in the horizon?
Yes, now that's also another thing we can discuss. Since the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah Sisi arriving to Kuwait from Qatar, where he started his tour, we can talk about joint work between different Gulf countries and Egypt in all the aspects that we discussed when it comes to investments. We've seen already the conclusion of the Egyptian trip. Now the conclusion of the Kuwaiti trip is yet to be declared, but the conclusion of the Egyptian trip was more investments in Egypt and strengthening the ties after some, disagreements that happened in the past decade in post-Arab Spring Egypt, between Qatar and Egypt mainly. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw more joint Gulf work, and that's where Kuwait comes in in between the GCC countries and Egypt. We might see more investment. We might see more joint cooperation between GCC and Egypt.
Mr. Hussein, before we conclude here and get off, looking ahead, how can Egypt and Kuwait institutionalize their cooperation to ensure continuity beyond individual leaderships through binational councils or structured partnerships?
Yes. I think this existed already. It's not something that we would start with this trip. It's something that has been happening
ongoing for the past few years.
From previous even decades. Like we're inheriting this from previous generation. But stabilizing the region further and allowing a space and some room for more economic cooperation, trade, work in between the two countries would be a good start for expansion of prosperity in between the two countries. Because we've seen also that both countries haven't been actively or interested in expanding any of the conflict or violence that has been happening in the region. Both countries did not have interest in the civil war in Syria. Both countries took neutral stands in Iraq, calling for reconstruction, peace building, further development of Iraq. Same goes with Gaza. Since the beginning of the Gaza war, both countries have been actively pursuing more stability in the region so that they can prosper.
Mr. Hussein, thank you so much for joining us here today, first of all.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and sharing
Likewise.
your insights with us is very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Pleasure.
you. Ladies and gentlemen, we conclude today's special live coverage as we have navigated together the impactful visit of a leader who is committed to unity, progress, and stability among the Arab and international arenas. Our insightful guest, writer and researcher at international relations, Mr. Hussein Sena, eliminated His Excellency the Egyptian President's contributions, showcasing his pivotal role in regional relations and global stature. We bid farewell to our guest, whose expertise has added depth to our understanding of the significance of such visit and enduring impact, wishing that this program serves as a testament to the remarkable efforts of the Arab leaderships and countries and their inspiring unity, fostering progress, and nurturing the values that they hold dearly, and serves and adds to the history between the state of Kuwait and Cairo. Thank you for joining us in covering the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the state of Kuwait. Take care and goodbye.